Welcome to the explainer. Let's just dive right into it, shall we? Now, you might notice a quirky little "to" emoji in our title right there, but honestly, as we dig into today's source material, we're actually going to uncover three distinct foundational levels of teaching. So over the next few minutes, we're going to be looking at exactly how our brains engage with information. We'll start from the absolute most basic building blocks of learning and climb all the way up to complex, high-level problem solving. It's basically a journey through how we're taught, how we process, and ultimately how we learn. So, the source text presents us with a really interesting intellectual puzzle today. First off, how do we arrange teaching models from the lowest to the highest levels of cognitive engagement? And second, how do we match specific theorists to those exact levels? This isn't just about listing off a few random facts. It's about understanding a deep structural hierarchy. We need to figure out the exact sequence of how a learner's brain activates. Think of it like going from being essentially asleep to being fully, vibrantly awake. By the end of this climb, we'll have built a complete, foolproof map of educational engagement.
Section 1, the foundation and the lowest engagement.
All right, so we start at the memory level. The source defines this strictly as rote learning and teacher-dominated instruction. Basically, the teacher speaks and the student listens and memorizes. Think of it like memorizing your multiplication tables or, the state capitals back in grade school. There is zero room for deviation here. The focus is purely on the intake and retention of raw, unfiltered data. It's repetitive, it's rigid, and it's entirely one-directional. This is classified as the absolute lowest level of cognitive engagement, simply because the brain is acting as a storage container. You're just taking in facts exactly as they're delivered, without questioning them, without analyzing them, and definitely without changing them. And the material directly ties this foundational, repetition-heavy approach to Herbart's theory. So Herbart is our anchor right here at the base of our cognitive mountain. It's the essential first step, really. I mean, you can't process or analyze information if you haven't first memorized the basic facts, right? You absolutely need that raw data first. But as we all know from our own experiences, just repeating facts back to a teacher isn't the ultimate end goal of education. We gotta keep climbing.
Section 2. The middle ground in the moderate engagement.
Okay, here we've arrived at the understanding level. The source specifically notes that this is comprehension-focused learning. So we're no longer just rigidly repeating facts like a parrot. The cognitive engagement shifts beautifully here. The student is actually starting to grasp the underlying meaning behind those facts they just memorized. If the memory level is knowing what the capital of France is, the understanding level is grasping why it's a major cultural and economic hub. Those isolated facts begin to connect, weave together, and form this cohesive picture in the learner's mind. You can almost see the lights starting to turn on. Now, the source provides us with the exact framework for this crucial middle ground, and that is Morrison's concept. Morrison is our guide for this understanding level. So whenever you see comprehension-focused learning in the text, you immediately link it to Morrison's concept. This is where teaching models shift from that pure dictatorship of rote facts to a guided exploration of meaning. Morrison's concept bridges the gap perfectly between simply knowing a piece of trivia and actually comprehending its place in the world. But as great as understanding is, there's still one more summit we need to reach to completely fulfill the text prompt.
Section 3, the peak and the highest engagement.
And here we are at the reflective level. The source defines this through two massive pillars: critical thinking and problem solving. At this stage, the cognitive engagement is incredibly demanding and completely open-ended. The learner is actively taking knowledge and using it to solve entirely new problems. To go back to our earlier example, this isn't just knowing the capital of France, and it isn't just knowing why it's a hub. It's analyzing economic and geographic data to propose where a brand new capital should be built. It's a totally dynamic environment where the learner is in the driver's seat, generating new ideas and tackling real-world challenges. Honestly, this is where true innovation happens. Our text explicitly links this ultimate reflective level directly to Hunt's concept. Hunt's concept is basically the gold standard for high cognitive engagement in this framework. Whenever you're pushed to think critically, to evaluate evidence, and to solve problems independently, without a teacher holding your hand, you are operating squarely within the framework of Hunt's concept. And that right there completes our individual theorist to model matches, giving us the three distinct pillars of our educational journey from the source text. Section 4, mapping the cognitive hierarchy. All right, so this brings everything we've learned together cleanly and logically. It directly answers the source text prompt to identify which level corresponds to which teaching model. Let's recap. At our base, the memory level is defined by rote learning and maps directly to Herbart's theory.
Moving up, the understanding level is comprehension-focused and maps perfectly to Morrison's concept. And finally, sitting all the way at the top, the reflective level is driven by critical thinking and problem-solving, mapping directly to Hunt's concept. It's just a perfect, elegant 3x3 matrix of educational theory that makes the source material incredibly easy to digest.
So, we've arranged the hierarchy exactly as the text demanded. Step 1, right at the bottom, is the memory level, requiring the lowest cognitive effort for simple recall. Step 2 takes us a bit higher to the understanding level, requiring a moderate effort to actually grasp the meaning behind those facts. And finally, step 3 sits at the very top of the staircase, the reflective level. This demands the absolute highest cognitive engagement through active critical thinking and problem solving. We have successfully completed the cognitive climb. So, as we wrap up today's explainer, I want to leave you with a question to really ponder. Look at your own life for a second. Your own studies, your daily reading, or your career. Which level of teaching dominates your learning right now? Are you stuck at the base just memorizing facts like Herbart? Are you comfortably comprehending things in the middle with Morrison? Or are you actively pushing yourself to the peak, reflecting and problem solving like Hunt? Take a moment to really reflect on that. Thanks so much for joining me on this climb, and I'll see you in the next explainer.